made some decent moves today, and others that kind of broke down, didn't have any follow through, or just followed through a little bit later in the day. So I promised you guys I was going to do a little bit more trading recap. So this is me trying to start the week off on the right foot with these daily recaps. Let's see if we can keep it going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, straight through to Friday. So really, let's start it off with the one that was probably the best mover today in terms of a setup. That's really AMD. So you guys are going to look at. I'm going to show you my daily chart's kind of a mess right now, right? I've got a lot of trend lines on it. You guys are going to see these purple lines. These are all custom Fibonacci levels that I've been showing you guys in a lot of the streams. A lot of our members are seeing that on a daily basis with AMD. And really what we were looking for, so we've got these Fibonacci levels we were paying attention to. And this morning, we were paying close attention to the sell-off on AMD. This is a 5-minute chart, pulled back to the 50 SMA. It really liked that 2805 level. We had this trend line right here at 2805, already marked out on AMD. If we zoom in on 1 minute, you guys are going to see, hey, I'm watching 2805, and I said this morning, 2837 is that 50% Fibonacci retracement level that we were looking for AMD to break out of. So, and what you kind of see right here is a bit of an inverse and shoulders that kind of materialized a little bit. So you had kind of a head here, shoulder here, shoulder here. And what happened is we finally broke out on volume, right? There's the volume candle. So we broke that volume trend, and we broke above EWAP 90 May 2837, and AMD started its dollar ascent. And if you guys look, it kind of had a sloppy rising wedge pattern on. But I missed my entry on this, so I was really disappointed. And it wouldn't be, we pretty much watch AMD every day because it's just got a great ATR, it's got great price action, it's got a nice tight bid-ask spread, and you can see right here we had this pretty nice up channel, right? Pretty nice sharp up channel on AMD, and then ended out over, let's see, this was the $29 level. We were looking at that for psychological resistance. We also had 30 marked out, so we had another dollar marked out. And you guys will see slightly above there at 30.90, we had that next fib level. So we're watching that next fib level to potentially see if AMD makes it up there, intraday. Not really swinging AMD because of the movements here, but not great entries on swings as far as AMD is concerned. You guys can see the volume trends going into the lunch hour. It was down after it made this move. We're just kind of in its consolidation wave, and we'll see. AMD is kind of close to the high of day. Right here, we'll see if it closed at or near high of day. That would be good. 5 minute, letting that 50 SMA kind of catch up. But, this could potentially run another 85 cents today and hit that $30 level. We'll have to kind of wait and see what happens with that. But that's AMD. This one was really big this morning. This was Fred. So I erased all of my chart lines on Fred to kind of draw, just kind of start from scratch and show you guys what we do on a daily basis with all of our charting in the pre-market. You can see Fred was pretty much in the waiting for news phase, just trading sideways, trading in a tight range. All your EMAs, you got your 920, 50, 200, all bumbled up on this 1 minute. Boom, news comes out, Walgreens, and just went on this massive run. But you're like, how do I know what to trade on this? Like, how do I figure out entries and exits? Well, you all look at the daily chart. You say, okay, the 200 SMA daily was at 277 when we started the stream this morning. It was at 277, and 277, no coincidence that the stock made a high today at 277. So of course you're gonna mark that line out, right? So just check the chat. It's like we got some viewers watching. So 277 high a day, and then pull back. So now you're gonna go, okay, well, I need additional information to help make this trade. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw your Fibonacci retracement and go and look for a recent significant high and a recent significant low. You can do it on a daily chart. You can do it on really whatever you're, just look for a peak and then a low, right? So this is kind of where the trend peaked out, right? So you grab your fib tool and you're going to go, okay, so it peaked out kind of around here, get a little bit closer. Here goes the that wick. And then there's the bottom line, right? And then you go over your 1 minute chart, and now you've got your fib levels to look for, basically these levels are like price magnets. So price is going to be drawn to them. It's also going to be repelled to them, right? So you can see Fred pulled back, really choppy, found support at this 236 fib, then got up here, crossed VWAP, went up to the next fib, finally tested the high day. It's been just a very choppy stop and go move. You can see the volume trends have been erratic. It was a tough one to trade. A lot of people, myself included, had trouble with this. I did okay with it early in the morning and got in on this 5-minute candle, made a couple quick trades, and then this pullback kind of had a bit of an inverse head and shoulder, cup and handle pattern. We were looking for something bullish, and it's just been, even like, you've got the 90 MA, 20 MA, and on the 5-minute chart, you're just going back and forth with the 9 as support, going back to 20, popping low. So it's been really tough to get good entries on this particular mover, and we do have these upper fib levels that are potential targets. You can see right here candlesticks on a 5-minute have really been currently obeying that 285 level, and there's kind of like there's like a bit of an ascending triangle on this where you can go out to here, and you got this pretty angular support here, and you've got a bit of a flat top on this. So there's kind of a bit of ascending triangle pattern. So it'll be interesting to see if Fred pops off out of that. But kind of a choppy morning for it. Found support and just tough to manage your entries and exits on today. Volume's been a little bit lower. Futures, which I put in the recap title, so I should probably cover that. You guys can see this is my ES chart. And what you guys are going to notice is that I've got those same fib levels kind of marked out. I've got 2878 here. I noticed in the pre-market early this morning that futures were starting to roll over here, so I connected this trend line up to a peak up here. And this is kind of the triangle that we've been trading in. So just very choppy up and down, 5, 6, 7, 8-point range. You can just see the volume trends. Typically, it's going like this anyways until lunch hour. And now we're starting to pick up. But we look at the big picture of futures. We've been moving up. You guys can see all my different rising wedges, falling wedges, and inverse head and shoulders. We've been slowly grinding lower. And I'm looking for this red support to really pick up. If it doesn't, we've got 2834 fib. Now you got this big red angular support that goes all the way back to April. So maybe we test that again. We've done it once, twice, 3 times. This could be the 4th time. So typically 3 or 4 big tests of this, we'd be looking for increased volatility. But so far so good. We're really looking at, let me make this a little thicker so it stands out, this kind of pink line right here to pick up futures and bring us back up towards that ever elusive 3,000 number. So that's been kind of the story of the day. Futures have been consolidating, pulling back. Nothing too exciting in terms of price range. So we're seeing that with a lot of stocks today. There's it's been kind of tough with again managing entries and exits. Mostly short bias. You can see ECYT, this was a really good one. Great story where, on Friday it had this inverted hammer kind of here at the 50 SMA, and then it had this big pre-market pop, right? And you can see it's pulled back from its pre-market high, and then retraced, and that was the story. Completely retraced back to that 200 SMA, got back below it, back below VWAP, cross VWAP, and again, to figure out what these stocks are going to do, at least for the first time, I'm looking at the Fibonacci retracement tool, go to 25, get as close to this low as you can get, and get an idea for how price is going to behave. You can see where price is closing below this 1987 line. This is 1886 is roughly the 50% retracement level here. So as price crosses these fibs, you can see how price reacts when it gets close to them. It's just one piece of the puzzle that helps manage your entries and exits and have better expectations. Looks like something's wrong with my mic. That's
Testing. Okay. Should have audio, guys. I'm not sure how long till my audio went out, but when I started the stream, I had audio. Let me turn down the volume because I'm like shouting in my mic now. So, not sure what you guys heard or didn't hear. If you guys joined the stream in the beginning, what you guys might have missed, but I'm going to go back and kind of recover it again just in case. So AMD was a big one that we were watching. Cool. Thank you for that. I don't know how long I had OBS open too for streaming, and I didn't I started with my mic working. Hey Julio. So Andrew, Dave, Julio, good afternoon everybody. So I guess I'll start again. I'm pretty well warmed up now. I'm doing a quick trading recap for you guys, so hopefully we don't have any more audio problems. But started with AMD. So this is one that I missed an entry on because I was watching some more of the penny stocks today, and I started this stream with an AMD chart, so I'm just going to go back in order and kind of cover everything again. Really what we were looking at on AMD is we were looking at this inverse head and shoulders that was forming, and I kind of marked it out for you guys a little bit over here earlier. So if I zoom out, let me try to get zoomed in a little better. Close this up. There we go. So we kind of had this little inverse head and shoulders thing going on, and I had this line. I've noticed that AMD has really been oscillating around 2805 quite a bit, and so we were watching that for support. Dipped a little bit lower than that, and we were watching this 2837 fib right here. This is a 50% retracement fib, so that's a very important number for Fibonacci traders. And what you saw is once we broke above 2837, AMD went on its typical wave tear. You got one wave, two waves, and then a third wave was the smallest one, which is typical. And finally it broke the up channel. But AMD was definitely the trade of the day in terms of something with really good follow-through. A bullish reversal pattern, consolidation pattern down here, and then a breakout. And so, it broke out above that 2877. We had that fib marked. and we had the $29 level marked because, you know, psychological resistance, whole number. We also marked out 30, and AMD's been kind of consolidating the rest of the day. We'll see if this stock closes close to the highs of days, but AMD is just a great stock. It's a great stock too. If you're new to day trading and you want to mess around with a stock that obeys patterns and doesn't pump and dump quite like a penny stock, AMD is definitely a stock of choice, and traders love it because it's got a great ATR. It's got you know, great patterns, great volume, great bid-ask spread. So it's definitely a keeper. And I'm just showing you guys quickly. You know, we've got this ascending triangle pattern right now in AMD. We'll have to see if this flat top breaks out. I'm using a 5-minute chart. If it breaks out, you can see AMD go to $30 today. Studies, I'm using the 9 EMA. I'm using my 9 EMA is kind of this light blue. And then I got the 20 EMA. I have the 50 SMA. I have VWAP. I have lower VWAP. And I have the 200 SMA, which is this light blue. So basic moving averages. I don't have any lowers on, just volume. And I'm really looking at patterns, candlesticks, and, you know, for buy and sell signals. You know, like right now I'm looking at this ascending triangle. I'm thinking, hey, AMD's looking good. As it gets tighter in this apex, it might squeeze and get out. You know, who knows? So that's AMD. I'm going to cover Fred because this one was kind of disappointing. You know, it moved up high to 277. Made a high day at 277 in the pre-market. No problem, Dave. And once it hit that high at 277, Fred pulled back. And 277 was the 200 SMA on the daily. You can see we're above it now. But this morning, it's at 276 right now. This morning, it was at 277. And it pinned it right there. And so we marked that out. We threw up our Fibonacci levels, so we have all of our, you know, price, basically where we expect price to react or respect these fib lines, and you can kind of see how they act as support and resistance or consolidation. And once they get above them, and you'll know if you draw your fibs right, you'll know how accurate you did, whether you drew it to the right high and low or not, in terms of if the chart just looks right to you. So you can see this one is a really tough stock to manage. There were a couple of us in the trade room who traded this really early in this first 5-minute candle, and I explained something that's very key about really fast trading using hotkeys. So, you know, using DOS Trader, using interactive brokers, using Lightspeed, whatever it is, I'll show you, this is a 1-minute candle here, which I never buy the 1-minute candle. There's this big pullback, then there's this next candle. And with buying on hotkeys and trying to get these quick scalps, you're buying on strength and you're selling on strength in the same candle. Okay, so you might hold that trade for 10, 15 seconds, but you're watching the bid and the ask contract, and you're watching the level 2 stack, and you're getting in really quick on a green candle with the right type of setup that you like. And the key is buying on strength and selling on strength in the same candle. So that's a little bit of a technique and something to keep in mind when you guys are trying to do quick scalps. It's something that helps me. I shared it with the trade room. Nope, I'm not back on Zoom yet. I could be on Zoom. But I'm just doing a recap, so I'm just going to do this on YouTube, I think, for right now. And then maybe I'll be back on Zoom later for our trade room members. So that was Fred. Fred was kind of tough to manage entries and exits on because you had these really wild candles. There was no real volume trend. There was just kind of like random buying and then pullbacks and selling. So didn't like the pattern, the movement on this today really too much for me personally. ECYT, here's another one that you know, last Friday hit that 50 SMA inverted hammer and popped, you know, in the pre-market today, pulled back. You could see right here this fib level down around 1735 was really acting as support, holding it up nicely. People bought that level. This is that 50% retracement level that I talk about a lot with our traders, right around 1886, and you can see price get out to it and pull back. So this was a decent high probability trade because you could see it trading inside this range between these two fibs, and the fact that it just went back and forth for the majority of the late morning, once it decidedly broke out with these moving averages all kind of tight and pinching above VWAP, that's where you got a decent move for, 30-40 cents right there. So that's a decent play today, and we're watching maybe this 50% retracement level up around 1886. That's ECYT. What else did I want to cover? Covered Fred. Oh, futures. Let me cover futures because we didn't have Rose, who's our futures trader today, in it all. And so let me show you guys big picture really quick on futures. This has kind of hit this high around 29.17, just kind of been pulling back. I've got this red angular support right here. And of course, whoops. Sorry guys, I'm clicking around a lot. Of course, I got 28, my fib levels here. I've got 28.78. I've been watching for price to oscillate around this. And I'm really using this pink line as major support. Now, if this breaks, I've got another major support down here on this red line. Of course, you got the 50 SMA. That'll probably pick it up first, but really the story, like with a lot of stocks today, we've been trading in this tight, basically 10-point range, and even less than that for the majority of the day. I mean, we haven't gotten back up to this high yet, and it's really bouncing off of 28.78. So I haven't checked in on our futures room, but I know Rose is getting ready to travel. So if you guys are used to Rose, she might be getting a little bit of a break, and hopefully I'll be able to cover a little bit, as far as the futures room. I know Angelina's in there. She's a very smart girl, and she's got a good handle on CL. I don't know if she's really doing ES too much, but it's been working all right. Tradester, I didn't make very much today. I made a couple of like 5-cent scalps. Did you trade ES, or are you just using it to predict? So I use futures, and we kind of tell people, trade in the direction of the market. So if the market's kind of range trading, if it's really choppy in this tight spread, it can make it a little bit tougher to trade some bigger stocks. So when I was streaming this morning, I was covering Twitter, and for the last couple of days, I've been telling you guys I've been wanting to get a buy on just an intraday trade on Twitter. And we traded a little bit last Friday. There was a good move in the morning and then a pullback. It didn't have the follow through. So we're looking at Friday's line on Twitter around 31. What is that roughly? 3107, 3108. So while futures was trading in this range and acting really choppy, I was watching this 3038 level for a potential breakout and then a test of this right angle. So I drew this line this morning, hoping that we were going to get up there. Whoops. Hoping that we were going to get up there sooner. We didn't, and we're now starting to test it now. So Twitter becomes a little bit more attractive for power hour. And you can see this line right here. It didn't really hold that support. I'm just going to get rid of it. So we'll have to see. There's a little bit of volume starting to come in now. So maybe the volume trend's starting to shift in the other direction. Maybe we get above this right angle. But the goal on Twitter is really to get back up to this 200 SMA, which is right now at, let's see. Well, the 200 SMA is at 32.19. And the 9 EMA is at 32.53. So the 9 EMA is really close to crossing the 200 SMA. This is, Twitter, quite frankly, is pretty bearish below the 200 SMA. So I'm wondering if they're going to start to save it here, or is this going to be a long-term downtrending stock? But you can always play these reversals if you get a good pattern. And something that I wanted was, like a falling wedge or, a descending triangle breakout. I just didn't get it on Twitter. So you use futures to kind of look at futures and go, are futures bullish? Are they bearish? What's happening with the overall market? What's the VIX doing? So we look at, something like TVIX for, support and resistance. And, if you chart the future side by side with a chart like TVIX, you'll see TVIX will hit resistance and, ES will hit support. And I did a whole video on trading TVIX using futures side by side for our members to really capitalize on stuff like that. If you want to scalp something like this, where again there's a tight bid ask, lots of volume, no problems with liquidity and getting hit, it's it's one thing you can do. Or you can just trade futures and use the VIX or TVIX to help you be a better futures trader. Yeah, yep. So that's NQ. So you could use this to kind of side by side trade TVIX, have TVIX next to you, or if you're trying to gauge the direction on AMD or MU, something like that. They're not always going to follow. Let's see. Let's go to the 1 minute. So here's MU tech stock, pretty popular. It's in this falling wedge pattern right now. And if you look at a 1 minute of NQ, it's kind of in a bit of a, it's got angular support here. It's just super choppy. It's just in a wedge basically right here. So the wedge is going in a different direction. So, it's not always going to help you, but it's kind of good to know overall market direction. Here's another one. I just want to show you guys my Mankind chart. This one's been a hot one last week, and then really not so good towards the second half of the week. It ended up in a falling wedge pattern, but it broke out today, right? So hit that high around $3, falling wedge, and you've got Mankind. We were looking for 215 today out of this channel, and we didn't get it. We got kind of a rising wedge. We got an ascending triangle within a rising wedge, but we didn't get that on Mankind. So we were hoping for some kind of a volume trend, volume to come through and help you hit 215. And, we just didn't get it. And let me zoom in a little bit closer on it, just so you can guys see. It was pretty hot. I actually wasn't. I had it up on one of my 6 chart screen, and I missed this whole little move. Then saw this pullback. I know some people were able to hotkey this trade, and then another pullback, and you've got this big kind of consolidation wave. But you could see I had this mapped out. I really wanted to see this get hit, and then this, and it just didn't happen. And that's trading. So that's it on Mankind. What else did I not cover? Oh, TLRY. So pot stocks. Right, I covered ECYT. Yep, I'm just checking all my symbols to make sure I covered everything. So, got angular support all through here, right? Got picked up right in here, and it's looking like it might have some kind of an ascending triangle, but if you guys look on the daily, these candles are just all over the place. Total confusion up here. Little pullback. Didn't really quite get as close as a lot of people would have liked to the 9 EMA, but it's popped off of that, and with some serious volume. So the pattern was pretty tough, other than you had, again, another kind of like down channel, right? It wasn't kind of a clean falling wedge. You just had this like pretty strict, shapely, uniform down channel that kind of broke out of. And it broke out in the pre-market, not a lot of volume. Had all this choppiness in the morning, and then the 5-minute candle broke out. So if you guys use the ride the 9 strategy on a 1 or 5 minute chart, You know, you've got your really good signal 5-minute candle, and then you can see right here, there's been no candles that closed below the 9 EMA on a 5-minute chart. Even though you had some really wild pullbacks, a lot of people decided to, you know, to buy these dips and push this back up. And really, here's your first warning with all these shadows, tails below the 9 EMA. Kind of this is where it started to break down. And if we go to a 1 minute, you know, you pretty much got the 920, 920, 920 acting as support. And then finally the breakdown, 50 SMA crossover. That was really bearish. Once it got below the 50 SMA, it's only a matter of time before big sellers pushed it back to VWAP. So what price is your breakout point for AMD? So this morning, my breakout point was 28.37. So that's what I was watching for, and I missed. I didn't get it. And I forget which stock I was paying attention to. It was either Fred or Mankind, which is a total waste of time compared to a movement like this. But once it crossed that 28.37 and then continuation at 28.77, and then I didn't have these lines drawn yet. I did have the 28 level marked for resistance, but you know, I blew through it. And if you guys see, I've showed this chart a ton of times. This is a 20-year chart that I used to draw my fib levels, and these are like super cycle Fibonacci levels. So I went from the high of 48.50 down to the low, pretty close to 161, but not quite. And what you'd want to be as accurate as possible. If you guys see, I've drawn this a couple of times at this point. Let me try to do it closely. You've got major angular resistance. I'm going to make it red. Make this bright red. It's close enough. So, what do you guys see? There's that big red angular resistance, right? It's going to really level out on a 1 minute chart. It's not going to be as sharp as I drew it because the angle of declination, it's different, right? We're coming down much sharper on a weekly chart. So that was kind of another telltale sign, really getting above that big red line. You can see all that price, and there's that ascending triangle breakout right here. So as I'm BSing with you guys and doing a recap and kind of going through all this and trying to teach a little bit, you can see that this ascending triangle pretty much broke out. Didn't want to get any tighter in this apex, and you know, might be heading to 30 bucks very soon here, and which would be a big day and not unusual for AMD to, you know, to have a 10% day lately. It's just a complete beast. High momentum stock. You've got 29.94 to watch out. That was like the high of day last week. So maybe that gets hit today. Obviously want to get a good entry. This is not a good entry up here on a 5 minute chart. You can see all the entries were during the consolidation inside the ascending triangle. Here's really your first you know, clue that this was going to break out. You had this big 5 minute volume candle right here, right? And then boom, there's your follow through the last 10 minutes. And you know, we now started this fresh 5 minute candle here, so we'll have to see if this pulls back. It's typical sometimes to pull back and retest the top of the ascending triangle before running again, but with AMD, it kind of doesn't like to dip that much if it's going to break out of one of these bullish patterns, and likes to keep running and falling through. So, oh, I should cover Cron too. I didn't cover that, but I was looking for a triangle breakout on Cron today. You can see this right angle, left angle. Was looking to get back up to 1260. It typically loves this 1260 level, and it just didn't happen. You know, it spent a lot of time oscillating around 1260 last week and fighting to get back up it. You know, we're looking for it to do it Friday. Didn't do it Friday. You know, it's if we look at the daily, I think it's making lower Yeah, so Friday it started to show some life. You know, even today it's still getting back up there. Above 1260, I really like day trading this versus below, but sometimes you can play the $12 to 1260 range. You can see I've got 1201 here on my fib. So nice little 60-cent range on Cron. You're very welcome, Charles. That's it on the recap. And if you guys watched this video and sat through the 5 or 10, I don't even know how long it was silent for on my mic. My mic was showing working on OBS. I had lines on it, and then all of a sudden it stopped working. So maybe I need to do an update. Not sure, but really enjoy doing these videos for you guys. Gonna try to do, it's Monday, and I'm starting off on the right foot with a recap video. So hopefully I can do a lot more recap videos for all of our members throughout the week. And, you know, hopefully tomorrow will be more of a bull pattern follow-through day. You know, there wasn't a lot of follow-through today. Again, going back to futures, we're range trading, we're choppy. We need to, you know, hurry up and just finish the move, pull back already. You know, if it needs to pull back to 28.65, get it done so we can get some movement in the markets again, some real movement, not just like, you know, basic range trading. So you're very welcome, Dave. You're welcome, Allison. For our members, it's 2:30. I'm here, and so I might hop on our live stream in a little bit for Power Hour. For Power Hour, obviously, it's you know, AMD. Looking at the scanners, there's really no parabolic movers, but there's Fred. There's maybe a trade on Fred later this afternoon to $3. There might be some stuff setting up, so I'll be watching the charts and answering some emails. But I'd like, if anything starts really moving, I will hop on Zoom for you guys. So that's my promise. So we'll check you guys later. If you guys haven't already, and you guys want to subscribe and join our trade rooms, we have 3 trade rooms. We have a futures room. We have a swing trade room. And we have our day trade room. Eventually, we're going to have some other rooms once we get a little bit bigger. We'd like to do maybe a crypto and Forex room. We'll see if that works out. But you guys can subscribe, you know, and have access to all our live streams, our members-only training videos where we teach a little bit more in depth. And really every day, you know, what we're doing is trying to teach you guys support resistance, patterns, get used to recognizing it, risk management, psychology. And, you know, have you be an independent trader so you're able to make decisions for yourself. You know, you don't want to have to follow a trading guru and, you know, for buy and sell signals, but you want to be able to recognize all of these things yourself. And you could say, I know when to buy and I know when to sell. And it's okay if I'm wrong, you know, but I'm only going to be a little wrong. You know, when you make that trade, you're going to recognize the signs right away. You're going to know how to do all this stuff yourself. So that's our goal with teaching you guys every day. So thanks, guys. We'll catch you all later. Appreciate y'all. See ya.